Hi everyone, John Morris, Regional Technology Director for the Maryland DC region, as well as KWU instructor. And I'm really excited to go over the Keller Williams app with you guys today. This is the first of a three-part series, being part one. We're going to talk about customizing your consumer experience with the KW app. So let's not delay anymore and hop right into it. The course goals today are to simply make a plan for how you will use your KW app to talk with your buyers and sellers about real estate transactions. So we're not going to really get into the ins and outs of the app just quite yet. We're going to make sure that we set the foundation right so that you guys have a good plan when a buyer and or seller utilizes your app. They get a custom curated experience and know what to expect when they're going to work with yourself. So here are some things to expect today. We're going to go over a little bit about what the KW app is. So if you haven't had a chance to mess around with it yet or to dig into it, we're going to talk about that. We're going to outline your buyer and seller processes today so that you get your guides set up so that your, again, clients can really know what to expect when they're working with you. And then we're going to talk just a little bit about promoting your KW app so that you can start getting that out there. But we'll dive deep into promoting your KW app going into part two of the KW app series here. So what is the KW app? What's all the commotion about why this is such a special thing? Let's take a look. So really what the app does is it really completes the ecosystem between the communications that you have with your client and then your client has with you. In most traditional real estate apps, basically clients can search for homes, maybe favorite them, put some things into a collection, but that's really about it. With your KW app, you now have the power to be able to simultaneously communicate with your clients regarding homes that they're interested in, homes they're not interested in, being able to view the collections and the things that they save and that they favorite, and get involved in communicating with your clients about what they're looking for and accomplishing with their real estate transaction. They'll be able to access the buying and selling guide that you set up here today, and so they can know what to expect in the process of working with you, whether it's going to be a purchase or the sale of their home. And then you'll also be able to update or see the updates of where you're at in the transaction timeline so you know what step is coming next. So really what the big difference between our app and the other apps that are out there is this goes well beyond just search functionality. This allows us to really kind of give our clients a remote control to their real estate world, so to speak. And again, not just for search, but being able to manage the transaction processes and eventually being able to manage their homes and be able to see a lot of stuff that really pertains to them specifically when it comes to their neighborhoods and how they transact or how they communicate with you as their agent. So let's take a look a little bit deeper. So here are some things that your consumer app can do. Just like every real estate app that's out there, ours does allow you to search for real estate. After all, it wouldn't be a very useful app if you couldn't search for real estate or properties in there. Where we start to differentiate is as we're going to go down the list here. You can now save standout homes in collections. You can set up multiple collections, so I can have a collection for homes that are in the neighborhood that I live in. I can have collections for investment areas where I would like to buy homes in. I could set up a collection for dream homes and vacation homes, retirement homes. Pretty much anything that I want to create a collection for, I can do that. That way I can be really up to date and up to mind on all the neighborhoods that I'm interested in and the types of houses that I'm interested in those specific neighborhoods. In addition to that, I can hide homes that I don't like. So if I don't want to continually see a property pop up every time I'm searching, I can start to hide those things. I can share collections with people that are maybe not necessarily going to be a co-buyer, but let's say that my parents are helping me buy a home and I want to be able to share the collections with them. I can add people to my collection so that they can view those as well. And then I can also collaborate with co-buyers. So if I am buying a house with somebody, we can have a collaboration within the app as well too. We already mentioned the buying and selling process with guides, so they're going to be able to follow along and check things off as they go through the process with you. And then a consumer is going to be able to learn what it's like to live in the neighborhood and track the real estate market over time with the market snapshots that you guys all know a lot about by setting our clients up on the monthly neighborhood nurtures. Some very cool stuff. So here are some things that you as the agent can do in communicating with your clients through the app. You'll be able to provide hyper-local neighborhood data that they can't get anywhere else, because this is going to let us break down what they're looking at, what they're viewing, and interests specifically to the neighborhood, not just the citywide or a zip code level. We can get right down into the neighborhood. It'll help you keep track of the transaction guides with your guidelines and maintain full transparency with your clients so that they're able to see what's happening at all times, and it helps you keep on track too. You'll be able to see who's downloaded and logged into their app. So if somebody downloads your app and registers for an account and logs in, you'll see that they have actually done that, which will then allow you to start keeping track of the people who have downloaded your app. And then you'll be able to watch client activity with the app and communicate proactively. So if I have a client that downloads my app and registers for an account, and I will then be able to go and look at their timeline inside of their contacts, which you can see the timeline is over here on the left side of the screen. So you can see in the example here that this contact had favorited the Barton Hills neighborhood as one of their favorites. They had looked at the seller's guide, and we saw that the showing your home step was completed. We see here that a listing was viewed as well too. So all the different things that your client's going to be able to do, they're going to be able to see, or you're going to be able to see that very easily as well, which will then give you the knowledge to be able to go out there and say, give that client a call because you see that they're looking at quite a bit of stuff, and maybe it's time to contact that person to talk to them a little bit more about what they're looking at. How the agent can manage relationships. So you're going to be able to see who has basically registered for an account, and how you're going to be able to see that is that on the contact card by their name, there's going to be a little green check mark, and that will let you know that the agent, or that the consumer has not only downloaded your app, but has also registered for an account as well. You're going to be able to see when they view listings, you're going to be able to see everything that they basically view, edit, or the sharing collections, and then anytime that they save a search, you're going to be able to see those things as well too. Why this is game changing? Well, it's game changing because Command is going to show how your contacts are engaging with the real estate in your app, and now this gives you visibility again into saved searches, listings viewed, shared collections, edited collections, viewed collections, everything that they do in there. You're going to be able to see that and know, and then that's going to allow you in a much quicker time to be in the right place at the right time and have conversations when your clients want to have those conversations about transacting real estate business. It's kind of like creating, again, the Netflix or the Amazon experience for your consumers, just with real estate, which is pretty powerful. So let's take a look at the guides. So we got buyer guides and we got seller guides. And inside a guide, an agent can customize their consumer's experience and provide on-demand information solidifying their stance as the hyper-local data-driven experts. So you're going to be able to set these guides up, as you can see on the phone on here, your buying process. And so maybe your buying process is going to show, hey, let's fill out some forms on what you can afford. Let's work on getting your loan pre-approval. So we move to step 2. So at each step of the way, you're going to be able to check off that these things were done so you and your client can know where you're at in the process for both buying and selling. So time to take some action. Stop listening to me talk and get to work yourself. What I'm going to want you guys to do now is navigate to agent.kw.com and log in. Once you log in, you can go to go.kw.com/app setup, and that will give you access to the Kelly Guide. Once you're there, we're going to review the Kelly Guide Part 1 Education and then complete the Kelly Guide Part 2 Consumer Settings. We're going to stop and hold off, though, before we actually go into customizing the guides. So I'm going to pause here for a second, give you guys an opportunity to log in, and we'll resume in a few minutes or a few seconds once you get logged in. So press play or put it on pause and then press play when you're ready to start back up. Okay, so now you guys should be back, and let's take a look at the app setup. We're going to click the Get Started once you got to that page. And then we're going to scroll down, and we're going to just go into where it says Next. So we're going to click Next. And then we're going to go over to where it says Consumer Settings. Build a client experience that's up to date on both your new app and your agent site. So we're going to hit start the process for consumer settings. Okay, so right at the top here, again, it says hero text. You can type in whatever it is that you want to kind of market to your clients when they come to your page to see your kind of personalized little message there. So for my particular one, I put in the only real estate app you'll ever need as my hero text. So you'll want to customize yours a little bit as well too. And then you'll see that your app URL and your app text code should be in there. So we're going to confirm all those things, and then we're going to want to make sure that we hit save and continue once you got your hero text entered in. And so we're going to click to go to the next part of the setup. Now, I told you that we were going to hold off on doing the timeline guide, so I'm going to pause this for just a second and then go back into the slides. Okay, so we have navigated to agent.kw.com and logged in. We went to the app setup to access the Kelly Guide. You were able to review the guide part 1 education, which is the first part, and then we just completed that second part, which was part 2 consumer settings. So now what we're going to want to do is we're going to talk about outlining the buyer and seller process for you guys. So some typical milestones in, say, a seller transaction. You show your home, you review offers, you have inspections, you do appraisals, and then you close the transaction. Now, this is a general kind of sense in terms of the big milestones that might happen. Now, there might be several other things that you might want to go over with your clients or that you might do in running your business. So we're going to take a look at what some of those things might be. Have you guys fill out the worksheets that are attached with the class so that you guys can start getting those things down on paper. And let's look for things that maybe you want to modify, edit, change, or add to your transaction timelines so that you can personalize these things a little bit more for the way that you transact your business. And let your clients know what to expect from working with you. Here are some typical milestones that we came up with that happen in the buyer transaction process. Starting your search, getting pre-approved, touring homes, making offers, executing contracts, setting up home inspections, getting home insurance, getting your home warranty set up, and then closing, obviously, as well. So, for example, some of you guys might not want to start your home search as your first step. You might want to get your clients pre-approved before you start your search so that you know what their buying power is and what they should be kind of looking at. So you'll have the ability inside of the guides to reorder these things, delete these things, edit these things, or add more things to these if you see fit. So what we're going to do now is decide first if you're going to start focusing on your buyer or your seller list. Okay, so then you're going to take basically the handout here and you're going to make 2 copies of that. One copy is going to be your buyer copy, and one copy is going to be your seller copy. So you're going to want to decide again, or am I going to work on buyers or sellers first? And then basically what we're going to do is you're going to list or draw all the steps from the beginning of the process up until the appointment. Okay, so again, we're not going to go through the whole timeline here. Just what are some of the current flows that you're going to have to do or that you want to do in kind of the beginning is when somebody works with me, what's everything that I'm going to make happen with a buyer or a seller from the time that I meet them and I start trying to nurture them into an appointment all the way up to an appointment. Okay, so for some of you guys, that might not really be anything, especially for somebody like a buyer, because for a buyer there might not be a lot. You might meet a buyer at an open house, for an example, and then your first appointment with your first step with them is just setting up a buyer consultation. Okay, so if there's nothing that you're going to do, then you can kind of leave that blank. But again, we're looking at the processes both on the buyer side or the seller side on what am I going to do from the time that I basically meet somebody all the way up until I actually have the appointment with them. Now, if you're around somebody or with somebody and then you want to trade lists so that you can compare with them to kind of get some mind share going to see if somebody might have some ideas for you, then you can do that as well. And then I want you to trade those papers back and then make any additions or corrections. So what we're going to do here now is I want you to pause the video and then write your list out. If you have somebody that you can share that information with, a partner, kind of share your guys' forms, take a look and compare and see if there's anything you might want to add or delete after you share that list. So pause the video and then hit start as soon as you are ready to begin again. All right, we're back. So hopefully you had a chance to get your buyers or sellers list kind of pre-appointment figured out. And so let's take a look at what we're going to do next. So we're going to take action now. We're going to go to the Kelly Guide and go to Consumer Settings. And then we're going to access the Guide Builder in the Kelly Guide and enter the steps from the before section that you just did in your worksheet. So what I'm going to want you guys to do now is go back to your Kelly Guide where we left off there, and you guys should be ready to get that set up. So I'm going to give you 1 second to get there, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so now we're back into the timeline guide where we can see that it says Guide Builder up top here. We're going to customize the buyer or seller templates to help your clients move through their transaction. And so we're just going to go down here and hit start. And now once we hit start, it's going to ask us guide template. And we're going to click the select button here. And we can choose, do we want to set up our buyer's guide first or our seller's guide first? So I'm going to just click buyer's guide. And then we're going to hit next. Now, right in here, it's going to tell us the title. So if we want to call it a different title, we can call it a different title. If we want to, so mine says Guide to Buying Your Home. And then you can see there's a message that we can personalize here. And you guys could put in, and this is what's going to show up there as well too. You have up to 400 characters that you guys can enter in. What I'm going to want you guys to do now is take a look at this and think about what you guys want to put in there. Write that out, and then we will be back in a couple minutes after you do that and hit play again, and we'll move into the next part. Okay, so we're back. Hopefully you had a chance to put your title in and your message, and so let's go into the Guide to Buying Your Home, or Selling Your Home if you chose that one first. So we're just going to click Next, and then as you'll see in the Guide Builder, on the left side of the screen, you have all the different steps that are showing up in your guide. On the right, you'll see all those same steps that are listed in order. If I click the arrow, then you'll see a title, which, for example, we got the Get Pre-Approved title here. And then you got under the subtitle, the text that's going to show up here. And then you have your picture right here, which shows up here. So I can modify the title, the subtitle, and I can change the image out if I want to. In addition to that, if I don't want this box here, I can just click delete that step, and then I can get rid of that step altogether. In addition, if I want to reorder any of these things, I can click on the dots, hold, and then drag that up or down so that I can reorder those steps if I want to reorder those steps. As I showed you in the last example, and click on those dots. In the last example, by default, this one has start your search first. Personally, I don't like to start a search until I know what the price point is for my clients, so I chose to move the pre-approved part up top here. Now, any changes that you make here in the guide will then be reflected when you go into the actual app and look at this. So you got all your steps here, and then you can also add steps that maybe aren't listed here as well too. So if you want to add additional steps, you can add additional steps. And then again, if you want to modify or take steps out, you can take those steps out as well by again clicking the down arrow and then clicking delete. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do right now is that in that list you put together the things that you would do before going on the appointment, whether it be a buyer or a seller. I want you to go into your guide right now, and I want you to list out the things that you would do before, or create those things that you would do before the appointment. And so you're going to, again, either change, modify, reorder these things, or you can add steps if those steps aren't already listed there. So I want you to pause the video now. Anything that you put onto that chart on before the appointment, I want you to fill that out. And then when you're done, I want you to restart the video, and then we'll come back and move to the next step. All right, welcome back. So hopefully you got all of your before items entered into your guide. Now we're going to come back and we're going to go to the next page of your handout, which is the during portion. So what I'm going to ask you to do now is you're going to list or draw the steps from an appointment to close. So in the last step, we went over the things that we do up to the appointment. Now in this step, we're going to list the things that we would do from the appointment all the way to closing the transaction. So in the example on the list here, you see, okay, we got appointment. What are the things that we do under the appointment? Okay, we have under contract, active, and closed. We're going to now look and see, is there anything else that we would put in there? Is there anything, steps that we would want our clients to know about or do during our transaction, so that if we're going to set up a buyer or a seller guide, that we would have that. So again, what we did in the last step is you chose whether or not you were going to do your guide for buyer or seller first. So whichever you chose, whether it be buyer or seller, we're going to now do what you would do from appointment to closed with that buyer or that seller, and that way you'll be able to come back to this once you're done and set up your guide. So what I'm going to want you guys to do now is to pause the video and go and create that list. If you have somebody that you can share that list with so that they can give some suggestions or some insight to you, and you can do the same for them, then you can make some additions, deletions, or you can modify or edit some of the stuff in there as well too. And when you're ready to go, click to play the video again, and then we'll go into the actual command guide to set that up. So hit play when you're ready to resume. All right, we're back, and so hopefully you've been able to get your during portion done, and now it's time to put that into the guide. So again, we're going to edit, reorder, delete, or add whatever we need to do in order to get not just our pre-appointment stuff in, but now our appointment to close things. So what are all the things that are going to happen appointment to close? For example, here is that maybe all this stuff happens pre-appointment. So for example, maybe we put in for get pre-approved as what we're going to do with our buyer before the appointment. And then we're going to start putting our search together and getting all this stuff done from touring homes, making offers, etc., all the way to closed for the during portion of this. So that's what I'm going to ask you guys to do now, is go through this guide, modify or edit, delete or add whatever you need to do in order to set your guide up the way that you want to have your buyers or sellers transact from appointment to close. So pause the video, get that taken care of, and then hit restart once you're ready to move to the next section. All right, welcome back. So we are now going to take action, Kelly Guide Consumer Settings. Again, we had just finished the section on setting up the Kelly Guide for the appointment, or up to the appointment, up to the from appointment to close, and now we're going to kind of look at the next part. And that next part is the after. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do now is think about, if I work with a buyer or a seller, whichever guide you've been working on, once we close escrow, what are some things that I'm going to want my client to know and or do? And so we're going to list all of our after stuff here right now. And again, just like the last two that we just did, like you to be able to share with a partner, if you have a partner available, to say, hey, how does this look to you? What's some ideas you might have? Here's some ideas I have, and then you can decide whether or not you want to add, edit, or delete anything. So what I'm going to ask you to do again is to pause the video, take some time to write this out, and then restart the video when you're ready to enter that information into the guide. All right, welcome back. We're going to now again take action with the Kelly Guide, and we're going to ask you to access the guide builder in your Kelly Guide to enter the steps from the after section that you just worked on and completed. So let's take a second and we'll get into Command so that we can access that. All right, we're back at the Kelly Guide now. And so I'm going to ask you to enter in the final portion, which is going to be your after stuff. So anything that you want to go over after you close. And then once you're done with that and ready to move on, we're just going to click next. Okay, before I click next, though, I'm going to want you to pause the video, enter your information in, and then we'll click that next there. So I'm going to give you a few minutes there. Make sure you hit start when you're ready to go again, and then we'll move on to the next portion. Okay, welcome back. Now you have your guide completed, or at least your first one completed. So once we're ready to move on, we'll click the next button. Now you can see that your buyer's guide's done, set up, ready to go. And now we need to do the next one that we didn't complete yet. So this was for the buyer's guide, or at least the example I did was for the buyer's guide. When you want to add a new guide, you're just going to click this Add Guide button over here. And then we're going to now select sellers, because we did buyers first. If you did sellers first, now you're going to go back and do the buyer's guide. So I'm going to click sellers, and I'm going to click next. You got your same kind of message title that we did in the last process. Now I'm not going to pause on this one and kind of go back and forth. You've already done this once, so I don't think we need to spend a whole lot of time going over this again, because it's really the same exact process. So you're going to, when you go through here, you're going to click to enter in your title information. So for example, instead of saying your timeline guide, I might say your seller or selling timeline guide. And then you have the information down here. If you want to modify that, you can do that, and then we'll click next. And then the same process that we did the last time. Now you're going to get your second copy of that handout that I told you guys to get, because remember we said you needed two. And I'm going to have you go through the same process you did before. We're going to first complete the before the appointment stuff that we would do. And we're going to list those things out. We're going to share and get some ideas. And then we're going to come back to the guide. And then we're going to add, edit, or delete anything that we need to put in here for up to the appointment. Then we're going to go back to the guide and say, okay, from appointment to close, what are the steps that I do? And then we're going to come back to the form here inside of Command, and we're going to add, edit, or delete anything that we need to add from appointment to close. And then you guessed it, just like last time, we're going to go back to the form and we're going to say, list out everything that we're going to do for our client post-close, or what they can expect post-close from us in this process. And then once we're done with that, we're going to come back to here and we're going to use this guide builder to finish out anything that we're going to add after close. And then once we're done, we'll click next. And then now you'll see that we have both a buyer's guide and a seller's guide set up here. So we're ready to go. And then once we see both of those things here, we're going to click the blue next button because we're not going to add any more guides. We've already done that. And then now we have successfully completed our Kelly guide. And then the last step inside the guide here, you're going to want to click or toggle this where it says promote my app smart plan. So you're going to toggle that. I'm going to give you a second to do that and be right back. Okay, so now that you have completed the guide, you've clicked that to toggle on to use that or create that smart plan. We're going to talk a little bit about promoting your KW app, but we're going to do a deep dive into promoting your KW app when we go and do step 2 of the KWU app series. This was step 1. We got 2 more classes to go to really maximize the full power of our app. So the smart plan that I just had you toggle on is going to allow you to connect with all of your consumers and people that they collaborate with inside of the app, so that again you stay top of mind, you're aware of everything that they're doing, and it'll help you create customized, highly curated information regarding the suggestions that you make for your consumers, which we've learned in the course of this course, that we can really go beyond just search here and start really giving our clients and consumers the remote control to their real estate lives through the KW app, because it's not just search anymore. Everything's about customer experience and creating that curated experience for our clients and our consumers. So we're going to want to use the KW app promotion smart plan so that we promote that app out. I'm going to jump back into the Kelly guide for just a second though, to show you guys one last thing before we wrap it up for the day. So if I go back into the smart plan or into the guide, you're going to see what your consumers are going to get by clicking or toggling the promote my smart plan app here. So on the first thing, they're going, and as soon as you put somebody into this smart plan, it's going to give them this download my new app email, and it's going to give them this picture here, and it's going to talk about getting the on-demand real estate information you crave all in one place. So that's pretty awesome. On day 2, they're going to receive an automated text message from you saying, hey, this is John with the John Morris Real Estate Group. Did you see that? Right? Or, did you see that a neighbor listed a home in your area? Download my brand new KW app to check it out, and then it'll have a link to your app. Okay, so what this stuff is it's going to customize, or the smart plan is going to customize, hey, this is John with the John Morris Real Estate Group, right? And then it's going to put a link to your app in there. So that way they know that it's from you. And then on day 5, they're going to get one last thing. And it's going to say, hey, did you know that you can see all the cumulative stats about your neighborhood in my new app? Let me show you, let me know what you think. And then that's going to have a download to your app on that text message too. So you got basically this smart plan has 3 different steps, an email plus 2 text messages to get people to download your app. So make sure that you, once you finish the guides, complete the Kelly guide, ignite or engage this. In addition, if I want to add people directly to the smart plan from here, I can click the person with the plus sign, and I can go through basically all the people that I might want to select by tag or people in order to get them onto my app right now. So when I select all those people, I can add smart plan, and then they will be added there as well. So we're going to click next once we're done with that. And then our app's ready to go. Congratulations. It's time to let the world know. So we're going to jump in after this class. And the next one, I encourage you guys to watch as well, which will be the KWU course, step 2 on promoting your KW app. And that is the next one that'll be coming up very soon. So if you have any questions on AHAs, I know this was not a traditional class, and so we're not actually having dialogue here because you're watching me via video. But if you do have some questions, feel free to reach out to me. My email is John Morris, that's JOHNMORRIS @kw.com. And again, that's John Morris @kw.com. And then John is with an H. And then also, even if you don't have any questions, if you want to shoot me your AHAs, I'd love to hear them as well too. So some next steps: complete the companion worksheet for both buyers and sellers if you haven't already done that. Continue to add your database and to add contacts to the KW App Smart Plan. And then launch your KW marketing campaign in your market center or Connect Live when you see that class come up. And that's it for our presentation today. Hope you found value in this, and we will see you in step 2, promoting your KW app so that it gets into people's hands. Thanks again, and we'll talk next time.